Hollywood. Now, I think it's basically on its way out because of more so how things are produced these days. I don't think there's going to be a need for a Hollywood. So there will be either an adjacent or a competitor, or it'll be kind of more obscure. But that's, again, focusing on the fact that people can do things within their own capacity. They don't have to go within the proper channels of doing like filmmaking and stuff. But then I think that may be a little more further down the road. I think we are going to start seeing a downtrend there. But someone brought up a good point in our super chat about the lack of risk, let's say, being taken by Hollywood. Now, the easy thing to say, which I would agree with actually, but we have to at least talk about it. It's not just say groundbreaking, or you're not splitting on the atom or finding the Hope Diamond by saying that, okay, these guys are more concerned with, like, again, activism first as opposed to actually entertaining people. That's a problem. But for those of you that don't know, for example, Big Lebowski is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie ever, right? And if you watch that, there's that wouldn't be released today. It just simply wouldn't. Some of the jokes that are being told are, let's say, not, and of them more of the iconic. Like, for example, the scene with, which is my favorite, one of the iconic. Okay, they all first meet up in there in the bowling alley. And, he's like, the Chinaman who peed on my rug, I can't go give him a bill. So what the fuck are you doing? That whole, like, that whole instance, like that whole segment wouldn't even be a thing now, because they'd be saying that the joke was in poor taste or racism or something stupid fucking like that. Just something like that's an iconic scene, right? But that's where we're at. It's like the lack of risk that are going to be taken because, unfortunately, these people gave power to a mob of people that get offended at every goddamn thing. So what's happening? These people are like, yes, there's going to be stories that can be told. There's going to be decent movies that Hollywood are going to produce that people can find some sort of enjoyment. And often it's like the one that doesn't go the route of the others. But it's not art anymore in that sense, because art's risky. It is. It is risky. People are going to get offended. And I think obviously that came out in the 90s, for example, Big Lebowski. To me, that's peak American. Like 98, I think it was. That's like America had got over the racism hump for the most part. It was at a great spot back then, late 90s going into the 2000s. It didn't fell off a cliff, and somehow we're here. And you think Klansmen are just going around attacking people on the streets. If you listen to watch the news, or you're on any of these social media platforms where they act like racism is just goddamn everywhere. And I'm talking the most evil kinds of it. But entertainment, often, definitely comedic ones, which is crazy because you thought that was kind of going to be the last standing, I don't want to say institution, but profession, if you will, a form of entertainment with the comedians, because the comedians live to offend people, right? But even a lot of these comedians are like just the mouthpieces for the authoritarian left, and so much shit is off limits now. And obviously people see it. But that's what happens. You cater to a mob and you paint yourself in a corner. And that's where Hollywood's at right now, where everything has to be safe. They have to be safe. They are. They don't want to offend people. They wouldn't want to do that. They wouldn't want to get people mad. Of course, why'd you want to do that? Definitely if it's a racial, ethnic backgrounds. Definitely on sexuality. That's a big one. That's not probably ever going to be told anymore. Those sorts of jokes, but I encourage you to go just look at movies that came out basically late 90s on back that are some classics, and you'll probably watch them, and you'll see things like there's no way that could be put out here, put out now. Man, we need another Blazing Saddles, don't we? Right? We need wouldn't the world do good with another? You think they could put that fucking movie out right now? Of course not. There's no way that movie, it's a fucking classic. But could they put that movie out now? No. It would offend too many people. It would offend way too. It's good as it is, and there's so much art. If you just sit and think, I don't know if you guys have. That's something that I recently thought about. It's like, wow, a lot of these classic movies, they can't put these out anymore, and maybe that's why they're just so much better. But Hollywood isn't, because it's become so. I mean, I would argue that it's been synonymous to the authoritarian left of the Democratic party for a very long time, probably longer than a lot of you guys get it credit. But at least the risk we're willing to be taken, and for everybody's entertainment's sake, you got what is deemed as some of the most classic, iconic movies that are just you watch them. If you come across it, you watch TV, if it's on, you'll watch it, or you go watch it. I watch Big Lebowski like fucking twice a month, man. Like, I watch that shit all the time. It is so fucking good. But just even with the slight jokes, and that's not the most raunchiest of films, but even with the just slight jokes and stuff that are being told, there's no way that stuff could be put out. Hollywood isn't gonna, and I know that was kind of that was one of those movies that kind of on the like outside of Hollywood, but in it at the same time. But you get what I'm saying. And art and entertainment is going to take a dip. Now, this means that as a creator and as an independent filmmaker, there's an opportunity here for you guys. But I don't think Hollywood's certainly going to give it to you anymore. These guys are in the business of activism. And definitely, if it's one of those check marks that they could check, right? One of those boxes they could check. Excuse me. They're more inclined to check that than they are to give you any sort of decent entertainment, and it shows. So this is why so many of the movies nowadays are fucking forgettable. Like, you think about the last 10 years, a lot of them are fucking forgettable. Definitely, since the social justice shit ramped up in like mid 2010s. Same thing. So I don't know, man. Hopefully we'll see more of a Hollywood adjacent start to prop up because of that. But I wouldn't hold your breath. Certainly on that, because Hollywood does still have a lot of control. It is going to take a lot of people going to support these independent filmmakers and stuff to get back to decent entertainment. Because, again, just like with the comic book stuff, Hollywood will have to pivot. And if they don't pivot, they'll just go into, no longer existing in the capacity that they were before. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.